The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supplies sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to the West Ham Massive. Thanks for joining me. And as I always implore you to do, please don't forget to like, comment on and share this stream to your socials and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And make sure you hit that bell icon for alerts on new content and don't forget to click all. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this endeavour. We are here to discuss the Carabao Cup round of 16 match, which takes place tomorrow at the London Stadium. Our very own West Ham United clashing with our cross-city rivals, Arsenal. And it seems that rivalry, which I've got to be honest, I've never really felt that the rivalry between West Ham and Arsenal has ever really been the same as the rivalry between other clubs that are in the metropolis. Millwall, for example, Tottenham Hotspur, Chelsea. Never has it seemed to have the same sort of heat, the same sort of intensity as those. And it probably never will for a number of historical facts. However, that being said, that with the transfer of our former captain Declan Rice to North London, it seems to have garnered a little bit more spice that sort of like got involved in that particular rivalry. We'll talk about that and how we sort of think things are going to go. I will get this little disclaimer out the way. It's simply out of politeness because there are people out there that maybe the odd little swear word when it comes out of my mouth might get a little bit offended. So if that is the case and adult language does offend you, don't watch it because I'm going to be me, okay? And unfortunately, I do swear from time to time. Don't mean to offend people, but that's just the way I am. It is what it is. So take it or leave it. So let's get cracking with this. And I want you guys to get involved with this. And I will get your comments up at intermittent points. I'm just going to sort of like bob through this and sort of like get on with my evening. And we'll sort of like go from there. Thoughts on the opposition this season? Well, for family reasons, I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for Arsenal. And I'll explain my reason. My late grandfather, God rest his soul, was an Arsenal fan. Now, he never ever sort of like, he never took me to Highbury and never ever sort of like tried to get me to turn from being a West Ham fan to an Arsenal fan. But he was a big Arsenal fan. And I always had a soft spot for Arsenal as a result, just simply because of my late grandfather, which I think that people with sort of like family members that's close to them that have maybe certain family allegiances, you might be able to understand where I'm coming from. You might not, and that's fine. But I always had a little bit of a soft spot for Arsenal growing up. That soft spot has probably hardened in recent years, probably because of the antics of the guy that's in the dugout at the minute, Mikel Arteta. He's jumping up and down, his gesticulation, squawking around and just sort of behaving like a complete cock, quite frankly, have made me sort of look at them and sort of go, no, I'm not really too in love with you at the minute. It is what it is. But He's sort of like, don't get me wrong, look, great manager. I mean, he won the FA Cup. He's got them, obviously, runners up in the league for a long period in time. It looked like they were going to win it. And I was actually on Hammer's Chat. Gonzo very kindly invited me on the Arsenal match preview yesterday. Some of you may have seen it, but some of you may not have done. If you haven't, please pop across and have a look. And yeah, it's very sort of like they're a very tough club to love at the minute. But, you know, for a long time, they did look like they were possibly going to pip Manchester City to the Premier League. In the end, Manchester City's deeper squad and just their experience saw them over the line. I said to Gonzo, and I still believe this. I actually do think there is a very good chance Arsenal will win the Premier League this season. And the reason is this: it's very simply because of history. History tells us that it's never been done before, a team in England to win 4 consecutive league titles. The maximum that anybody has thus far ever achieved since league football, going back to the year 1887, 1888, when Preston North End won the double, believe it or not. They won the league by not losing a match, and they won the cup by not conceding a goal. Little bit of useless information for you there. But no team has ever won the league 4 times in succession. And that's the reason why I suspect that Man City won't achieve it. Now, so I will say that I think that Arsenal, with my club allegiances to one side, I think that they will win the Premier League for that reason, simply because the history says that City won't do it. Now, it could be that I'm wrong. The other reason why I think that they're going to achieve it is because I think that had Declan Rice been in the Arsenal squad last season, I think that would have been the difference. That would have been the extra piece in the jigsaw that would have seen them home last season. And I think his addition to their squad this season could prove absolutely critical. So my thoughts on the opposition this season are that at this precise moment in time, they're second in the league. They're one of only 2 teams in the Premier League who are still undefeated. The other one being their North London rivals, Tottenham Hotspur, who are 2 points ahead of them, I believe. Let me just check before I make myself look like a complete fool. Yes, they are 2 points ahead of them in the league standings as of this particular moment in time. So my thoughts on them are that they're a very good team, very, very good squad, not as deep as Man City's, but I think that there won't be if there's a team above them in the pecking order, there won't be too many. I think, you know, they're an excellent team. Don't particularly like them, but there you go. I have to say that. So the next question is, who is our opposition's key player? Now, this is a very difficult one to answer because I'm not quite sure which way Mikel Arteta's going to go. Now, I know that when Arsene Wenger was in charge of Arsenal Football Club, usually what would happen is he would put out a team of kids, of reserves, of players you maybe have never heard of. Mikel Arteta in the last round, it was quite interesting. I had a little look just to sort of like see, well, what did he do in the last round? They played Brentford in the last round. And their starting 11, I'm looking at it here, was Aaron Ramsdale in goal, a back four from left to right of Kivior, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, and Ben White. Midfield 3 was Havertz, Jorginho, and Smith Rowe. And their front 3 was Nelson and Nketiah and Sago Jr. Now, all right, it's not their full strength 11. It's not the 11 that if they were playing a Champions League game or a Premier League game, that you'd say that would be their starting 11. Probably not. Still pretty strong, though. I mean, Smith Rowe, right? Ben White. I mean, I would say that Ramsdale, for me, is... I believe he's a better goalkeeper than the guy that's between the sticks at the minute, but David Raya, and I think he can count himself very unlucky for the way that he got pulled out of the starting 11. Didn't do anything wrong, and Raya's gone in, made a few mistakes, and yet Mikel Arteta's kept him in position. I think that if I was Aaron Ramsdale, I'd be very, very annoyed, but there you go. But who is our opposition's key player? Well, it depends, doesn't it? You know, it depends upon the team that he puts out. But make no mistake, if Declan Rice plays, he is the key player, isn't he? Because he'll come in, and he's a competitive animal. I mean, look, I know he didn't grow up as a West Ham fan, but he became a West Ham fan coming through from the age of 14 when he was kicked out by Chelsea. We gave him a home. We gave him a platform. We gave him an opportunity. He grabbed it. He grabbed it with both hands. And for 6, 7 seasons, he was absolutely sensational. And we got a good price for him when all was said and done. He obviously captained us to our first trophy in 43 years. He captained us to our first European trophy since 1965. So he's done something that not many people have managed to do in a West Ham shirt, and that is lift a major piece of silverware. Billy Bonds and Bobby Moore were the only ones that had ever achieved it. I mean, if you want to go back and include the 1940 Football Wartime Cup, then please be my guest. But if we sort of keep it sort of to relevant trophies, then that's the company that he's in. So if Declan Rice plays, he will be their key player. Make no mistake about that. And he will, again, make no mistake about that. For all of the love and the affection and softness and the appreciation that he has got in his heart for West Ham United Football Club and the fans, he will, make no mistake, be doing nothing but coming to try and spoil the party, coming to try and advance Arsenal past us into the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. Make no mistake about that. So I'm going to say Declan Rice. I hope, and I was on record as saying this with Gonzo yesterday. I hope we do give him a decent reception. I would be very disappointed if we hear a chorus of boos. I think that would be really poor, in my opinion. I would be really sad to see that. And do you know, the funny thing is, there was a piece that I was looking at, and I'm just going to reference it here. It was on Sky Sports and on their sort of like their website. And I'm just scrolling down, and I've got to be honest, I read this and I thought, what a load of bollocks. And here it is. The Hammers fans are not exactly renowned for giving former players a warm welcome upon their return with another club. And I read that and I went, what a load of bollocks. Quite frankly, I remember players coming back, likes of Rio Ferdinand, the likes of Carlos Tevez, the likes of Michael Carrick, Joe Cole. I remember many players coming back. And I wouldn't say that, I mean, look, some players didn't get a warm reception. I mean, Paul Ince, yeah, he didn't get a warm reception. Jermaine Defoe didn't get a warm reception. Frank Lampard Jr. didn't get a warm reception. But to turn around and just make a blanket comment like that, I thought that was really fucking poor from Sky Sports, to be honest. Really pissed me off. We give decent receptions to players that deserve it, quite frankly. I think that Declan Rice is one of those. I think he does deserve a decent round of applause, a chance for us to say thank you. But I'll make this very clear. Once that is done, that's it. I'm not going to keep revisiting that. As far as I'm concerned, this is just me. I'll make my sort of like appreciation known. I'll give him a round of applause, but that's it. Once that is done and put to bed, he is now just an Arsenal player. Okay. And I want his team to lose. I hope that he fulfills his wishes. I hope he fulfills his dreams with Arsenal. Not a problem, but not at our expense. Not at our expense. Which West Ham player will be key to a positive result? Well, again, with Gonzo yesterday, I gave my thoughts on what 11 I'd like to see. And again, you guys get this in the live chat. Again, I can see you putting comments in as I go. I'm not ignoring you. I will get through it. So just sort of like I say, as I go along, just put in your little pieces of what you think on the topics as I'm going through them. Which West Ham player will be the key to a positive result? Again, it really depends upon which way Moyes is going to go. Now, if we look at sort of like team news, now obviously we know that Lucas Paquetá and Edson Alvarez picked up a yellow card against Everton, which means because it's their 5th yellow card, they're going to be missing for the Brentford game. So for me, they've got to play tomorrow. They absolutely have to play tomorrow. Emerson will be back. Obviously, again, I would suspect that it would be foolish to put, and I'm not saying he had a bad game against Everton, far from it, but Cresswell versus Saka, possibly, or Smith Rowe, but certainly Saka. I think that would not end well for Aaron Cresswell. I don't think that would be good. So I think that Emerson, for me, should be playing. I wouldn't be surprised if the two ex-Arsenal players in our squad in Lucas Fabianski and Konstantinos Mavropanos will be in the starting 11. But I think we need to go strong here. I think we need to really put out a starting 11 that is capable of causing, and let's make no mistake, causing an upset. Yes, we are the home team, but I think that when you look at the firepower that they have, and I think when you look at our respective form, I think you'd be hard pressed to make any other case than we are the underdogs going into this game. But do you know what? Every now and again, the favourite does come unstuck. If they have an off day, if they have a little bit of a lack of luck, if they're not quite at it, and we manage to be on our game, then there's no reason why we can't progress into the quarterfinals and find ourselves just 3 matches, or 2 matches from a Wembley final. Who knows? As far as Arsenal's concerned, I'll just get this out of the way whilst I've sort of got this up on the screen in front of me. They've got a couple of absentees. They've got Jurrien Timber, who's out with an ACL injury. Gabriel Jesus looks like he's out with a hamstring injury. Thomas Partey's obviously out as well. Other than that, I think that they're probably going to be good to go. So, as far as we were concerned in our game against Lincoln, again, just to sort of compare like for like in the last round, what was the team that David Moyes put out? Did he put out a completely weak team? Did he put out, again, it wasn't your full strength 11. It wasn't the 11 that you'd suggest would be starting if we was playing a Champions League final tomorrow. What are the chances? But pretty strong. He went Fabianski in goal. He had a back 4 from left to right: Ben Johnson, Angelo Ogbonna, Dinos Mavropanos, and Tilo Kehrer. He then went Fornals and Soucek as the double pivot. He had Ben Rama left. He had Cornet right. He had Kudus in the 10 position and Danny Ings up top. Now, I think that if he put that team out tomorrow, we're going to get absolutely murdered. I'll be brutally honest. If that's the team that goes out against Arsenal and they put out anything resembling their full strength 11, we're going to get absolutely torn to shreds. I'll say that now. So I absolutely don't think that he can go full pelt. Excuse me. I don't think he can sort of like go the complete opposite of full pelt. But I do think that he will sort of, maybe he won't be his full strength 11, but it will be a strong 11 if that makes sense. So with that in mind, who is the key player to a positive result? Well, if he picks the 11 that I think he's going to pick, then I would suggest it's going to be Jared Bowen. He was a bit wasteful against Everton. I think he had 2-3 chances, and I don't remember he got any of them on target. There was a shot that he had in the first half at 0-0, which went past the post, and then there was a couple that went over the bar. There was a header, there was a shot in the second half. So his radar was malfunctioning. But let's be honest, this season he's been absolutely brilliant. So I hope that was a blip. I hope that he can get back to the Jared Bowen that he was previous to that game, and keep the confidence high. So I'm going to say Jared Bowen. So the 2 key players in the respective camps, Bowen versus Rice, 2 good friends, but that friendship will be put aside tomorrow. Now, this question is, obviously, as it says here, and again, get yours in. We'll go through it together. What would be my starting 11? Now, the starting 11 that I would select, and I went through this with Gonzo yesterday on the match preview on Hammers Chat. My 11, and I don't suggest that this is going to be David Moyes' 11. My 11 would actually be in a 4-3-3 formation. I'd have, and out of the 3 central midfielders, I'd have 1 occupying the defensive midfield duties with 2 orthodox central midfielders just a little bit ahead of them. I would go Fabianski in goal. I would go with a back 4 from left to right of Emerson, Aguirre, Mavropanos, and Kufau. Alvarez would be my CDM, and just ahead of him, I would have James Ward-Prowse and Lucas Paquetá. Up front, I would go a front 3, Kudus left, Bowen right, and someone who's been in the news in the last 24 hours or so, Divine Mubama, as the central striker. Now, will David Moyes play that? No, I don't think he will, with regret. So, with that in mind, I've actually got what I think will be David Moyes' preferred starting 11. So, I'm going to press play on this and see what you think about this. But this is what I think, as opposed to that 11 that I've just named, what I think David Moyes is actually going to do. Yeah, I think that he's starting Antonio up front. I think Kudus is getting dropped. I think Souček is coming back in. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I hope I am. As I say, I hope that I think that the change in shape would be necessary. I think that with Arsenal, they play the 4-3-3. I think that possibly we need to try and match them up as much as possible. You might disagree. I'm going to now come to your comments, ladies and gentlemen, because I see you've been putting them in. Let's have a little look. So, Gary, no, I didn't forget. Hello, Gary, not Anne. Happy Halloween, says Sharky. I'm not really one for Halloween, mate. I got to tell you, I'm not one for Halloween. I fucking well will, Gary. Don't you worry. Yeah, that's why I sort of like, yeah, no, exactly. And you know what? I said this to someone the other day. In actual fact, I think it was Gonzo's daughter when we was at the boats after the Everton game. I'm pretty sure I told her, and I think it's true. I think that the people that swear are more honest. Evening, Rani. Hope you are well. Highbury was a good stadium. Old school football ground, not as good as Upton Park though. And you know what? They were two little things. Just to be really pedantic, obviously Upton Park wasn't the name of the stadium, and neither was Highbury. Arsenal was. It was actually Arsenal Stadium. There you go, little factoid for you. But of course, everybody knew it as Highbury, and everybody knew the bowling ground. They referred to it as Upton Park, even though both of them actually referred to the areas in which they were located. Useless information, though that is. I would like Moyes to have a few youngsters on the bench for this game, says Mark. Mubama has to be given a chance, even though contract negotiations have stalled. How likely do you think that is, though, Mark? Hand on heart, I think very unlikely. Very unlikely for that reason. The problem is, does Moyes go even more stubborn because of the contract stuff? That's pretty much where I'm at. That if you look at his treatment of Ben Johnson, it's one of those. I think that he's probably going to dig his heels in. Now, I know you could use the argument and say, well, he never did it with Declan Rice, but Declan Rice was an asset that was worth, in the end, 105 million quid. If he'd have dug his heels in with Declan Rice, what do you think would have happened to the value of Declan Rice? Newport 0, West Ham 1, under 22s. Under 22s? I think you might mean the under 21s. We'll call that a mistype, Rob. Kodua scores. There you go. Great news. John, hope you are well. I think he'll go strong. They're not going to win the league or Champions League, but let's be honest. Oh, I don't know, mate. I don't know. Champions League, I'll agree with you. No, I think that's too far. Premier League, I wouldn't be shocked. Really wouldn't be shocked. Ramsdale should be their number one. I agree. Yes, absolutely. Ramsdale's unlucky, done nothing wrong. Yep, absolutely. I think he will get booed by a section of fans. Oh, yeah, I don't doubt that there will be some people in the stadium that will probably have a little bit of a gripe about it. But I think that what I would be really sad to hear would be if there was a significant majority of people that made anything less than their appreciation known. Look, it is what it is. You're not going to please everyone, and I dare say Dec will be prepared that when he does make his bow, and it might not even be tomorrow, who knows? But at some point, he's going to come back to London Stadium in an Arsenal shirt, and there will be some people that are just, and we've seen it online, and there's some people that hold a grudge. It is what it is. He did, and he played 30 games for us, never lifted a European trophy, and he almost got relegated with us. Although you could say that he was one of the ones that dug us out. Kudus has a great opportunity to make a real impact. I hope he plays, but I got a funny feeling he won't. Fabianski will be busy in goal. Yeah, he'll need to be on his toes. So they're just sort of discussing whether Mobama's playing. Callum Marshall's not playing. Could that be a clue? Could that be a clue? Wonder whether he gets on the bench tomorrow. You never know. I'd like to see. Do you know what? I'm not too sure. I think that he needs to go out on loan, personally, Callum Marshall. Can't see both of them including the squad. Does Zuma play? Very much doubt it, mate. Very much doubt it. We'll wait and see. Personally, I think that, like I say, I think it will be a strong 11. Probably won't be full strength. I think that, like I say, Paquetá and Alvarez will play by default because they ain't playing against Brentford, so they might as well play against Arsenal. But I think there'll be a bit of resting and rotation, but I don't think he'll go as heavily on the resting and rotation as he did in the Lincoln game. He can't. If he goes that far, we're out. When the fuck are they going to get a chance then? I've got no idea, Mark. I've got no idea at all. Rani says, yeah, same 11 for him. He would play it as a 4-1-3-1-1. Like it. Sharky says, yeah, I could see that being the lineup except for Kera for Kufal. Well, look, all will be revealed in roughly the next or less than 24 hours, obviously. So that would, as I say, I've gone through what my starting 11 would be. And I've also said what I think David Moyes will. Now let's get down to it. And those of you that saw my appearance on the Hammers chat preview of this will not be surprised because it's the same score prediction I gave there. I'm not deviating. Now, like I say, we need to be at it from minute 1 to minute 90. From memory, I don't think there's extra time in this. It goes straight to penalties. And someone can correct me if I've just made an incorrect statement. You're quite welcome to do so. But I'm pretty sure that's right. It goes 90 minutes, bang, straight to penalties if it's level. So we need to be at it. David Moyes needs to select a strong enough 11, right? That's the starting point. He absolutely cannot put out that 11 that he put out against Lincoln. If he does, as I said earlier, we're getting murdered before our very eyes. We are going to get torn to shreds. The game will be over by the time it hits 60 minutes. So we need to go strong as we can, and we need to go out there not with any sort of timidness in us, not with any lack of courage. We need to go out there, roll our sleeves up, and find a performance that has been lacking in the last 3 or so games. Now, even that might not be enough, because let's make no mistake about it. Arsenal are an excellent team. They're an excellent squad. If they put out anything like their full strength starting 11, which I don't believe they will, but I think it will be close. But if they were to put anything out like that, we are going to need to have all 11 players plus substitutes when they're called upon, playing around about a 7.5, 8 out of 10 performance minimum for us to have a realistic chance of going through. Can we do it? I believe we can. My problem is that the confidence levels at the minute will have been somewhat dented from where they were a couple of games ago. It has to be said. But that's the job of a manager. The job of a manager is to take the troops, galvanize them, and make them greater than the sum of their parts. That's his job. Now, if what David Moyes does is winning, then he needs to do it pretty fucking lively. As my brother said on the, I think it was the Everton review. I lose track of it. He needs to do that in a little bit of a fucking hurry. It's as simple as that. And this would be a good place to start. What a boost it would be to players' fragile confidence if we can come away from London Stadium tomorrow having put out one of the top teams in the country, a Champions League team, and a team that contains a £105 million player who not so long ago lifted a European trophy for us. That'd be pretty a big confidence booster, I think it's fair to say. So I'm going to say 2-1 West Ham. I think we don't need penalties. If we got to penalties, I'd be reasonably confident. Lucas Fabianski has a very good record of saving penalties, so I would be pretty confident if it went all the way. But I don't think we're going to need it. I think we're going to get the job done in 90 minutes. I think we win this 2-1. The crowd, however, do need to play their part. The crowd against Everton, the atmosphere was very flat. If we have an atmosphere that's anything like that, we're making our chances much, much lower than they otherwise would be, which it is what it is. So the crowd need to be on it. But it's one of those. It's like, whose job is it to spark off the other? Is it the player's job to fire up the crowd? Is it the crowd's job to fire up players? It's a little bit of both, in my view. Depends on the situation, but it was very flat against Everton, and I don't think that helped the players on the pitch. So the crowd need to do their bit, but then the players need to step up to the mark as well. So, it's 50-50. If we can find a performance, if we can get a little bit of luck on the night, I believe we can do it. And then we find ourselves in a quarterfinal. And depending upon the draw, who knows? If we get a home draw, I don't think there's too many teams that I would look at and go in what remains of the competition and really sort of be concerned about, progressing. I really don't. I mean, just looking here, what have we got today? We've got, so Exeter are playing Middlesbrough. If we got one of those two teams in the next round, do I think I'd be worried? No, not really. We've got Mansfield playing Port Vale. Again, if we got one of the winner of that team. Playing tomorrow, Bournemouth v Liverpool. Okay, I'd want to try and avoid Liverpool, but if we got them in a one-off game at London Stadium and maybe they've got bigger fish to fry, who knows? Chelsea, Blackburn, Everton, Burnley, Ipswich, Fulham, Man United, Newcastle. Now, there's a few teams there that I'd prefer to sort of leave until the later rounds, but there's a couple of teams there. If we got them in a home tie, I should think we should sort of have a reasonable expectation of getting into the semi-final. Because as I say, this is the round of 16. So we get past this, we're in a quarter-final. Win that, we're there in a semi-final. And I think from memory, correct me if I'm wrong, is the semi-final not a two-legger? Again, it's all about the draw. To win a cup competition, it is all about the draw. Now, normally I have up the officials. Now, trust me, I've looked. I've had a good search around. I've been on Sky Sports. I've been on BBC Sport. I can't find anywhere where I've got the complete lineup of officials. The only thing I know is the guy with the whistle is Simon Hooper. Okay, who the assistants are, who the fourth official is. I don't believe there's VAR in the League Cup, is there? Until I think the semi-final. So the other officials, I can't tell you. But I know that Simon Hooper's the guy with the whistle. As I say, normally I have that information for you, but not today. Right, let's just have a little look. Look, we putting some comments in. Sharky had no idea you watched the Eclectic Beard. I'm probably going to get rid of it tomorrow, mate. I'm probably going to get rid of it. Just having a little look. Head says we lose by 2 goals. Heart says 1-1 win on penalties. Go with your heart, Rani. Go with your heart. You know it makes sense. Sharky, however, has a different take on it. He says it's 2-1 to the Gooners. Hope you're wrong. I'm still waiting for his Doctor Who 10th and 11th Doctor. Okay. Not quite sure what's going on there. 1-3 can see Arsenal steamroller in the second half, I'm afraid. Again, can I see it happening with regret? Yes, I can. But as I say, fortune favours the brave. Hopefully, David Moyes and his team tomorrow are brave. I think they will need to put out a strong, half strong team. If we put out our strongest team, then possibly we need Paquetá and Bowen playing at their best. Absolutely. Sharky says it's a cracking channel. Hopefully, you're talking about this one. V Everton, the found sounded dead. Yeah, it was from where I sit. It was very very quiet. If we go through, we'll get Man United away. Well, we played them a couple of years ago in the cup, didn't we? Lanzini scored, so let's say they're not pulling up too many trees at the minute. So, listen. There's not many teams that are left. I mean, there's a couple that I'd like to avoid, but I mean, like I say, even sort of Man United, if we got them at London Stadium, having got past Arsenal, if we can put together a little bit of a confidence booster, I wouldn't have any sort of real fears over getting through, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, that's me done for now. Thank you very much for joining me. And if you're watching this on Facebook, if you're watching this on Twitter, before we wrap it up, if you could just quickly hop over to the YouTube channel and just put a thumbs up on this particular stream, it really does help the algorithms, drives it and pushes the channel into places it otherwise wouldn't be. That really would help. So please don't forget, as it says there, to like, comment on and share this stream to your social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure you hit that bell icon for alerts and new content, and don't forget to click all. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this endeavor. Thanks for joining me. I'm now going to disappear and go about other business. And as I say, please don't forget to give your support to the Iron Supporting Food Banks charity, and we will see you next time. Take care. Come on, you Irons. The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supplies 7 distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.